Hey, I'm Josh. I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Fractal Design, probably otherwise known as Fractal Josh. My current system is a few years old, quite a few years old. I got a 4770K, and it's one of those systems, kind of like most people have, where you kind of keep building off of it. You know, you have this and you add some more hard drive space, you upgrade your RAM, and you know, it's kind of starting to show its limits now, for me, mostly with storage.
What we're also doing here is Josh's first time getting his hands dirty with rigid tubing. I'll let you guys take that joke wherever you want to lead that, but he's never bent rigid tube or anything before, so
Just keep going with it, Jay, it's good.
So we're gonna bend the shaft a little bit here. Now we're going to put a link to all these parts in the description below, so rather than spend a bunch of time calling out parts, we're gonna have this be a fun video where you just kind of come along for Josh's first time playing with his tube.
Now, to be fair, obviously I used to run my own system integration business, boutique system builder, so I've done a lot of this stuff. Back in my day, you didn't have no damn rigid tubing, so this will be my first experience with that. So maybe show people why it's not as, I guess, scary as people think it is.
It requires a lot of heat and a little bit of patience.
And basically, if I screw up, it's on you, because you didn't teach me well.
Well, on that note, let's go. Do you want to be cooler? Do you want to be more desirable? Well, you're in luck, because right now you can own your very own JayzTwoCents swag and immediately be the cool kid on the block. Max out your sex appeal by following the link down below.
Now, one thing about this motherboard, it is freaking hefty.
Yeah, 6 terabyte. Jeez.
Why, is that not big enough?
No, it's big. I didn't even know they made a black Western Digital.
It's how you use it, Jay. Hey. So my current PC is pretty much my catch-all PC. I game on it, I stream on Twitch, I edit video, I do a lot of work, you know, duties on there. And honestly, the 4770K is no slouch, but the issue I'm having now is I can start to see where it's kind of bottlenecking my performance and how much I can get done on a daily basis. Now, one thing I know I'm gonna get trolled on is I've got 4 sticks of RAM. I'll be upgrading that to another 4 later on, but you know, RAM prices, so. You want me to go ahead and just like seat the processor and everything right now while we're at it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seat the processor, and then you could take off the heat sinks. Do these two? Yeah. You might have to take that off on the side. I can't remember though.
I just wanted to strip this one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So it's actually started to happen on mine where they tighten this screw down and the metal's soft. So the moment you even try, and we had a proper size.
Yeah, it starts stripping.
We had the right size Phillips in there. It's just the metal's so soft it just immediately rounds out.
Oh God, like the breathing shit.
So what you're replacing this piece with is this heatsink here.
Okay.
And then it has its own thermal pad. So you'll need the manual for that one to see which ones it is.
Pre or tau extending.
Oh God, people would be cringing just watching me put this thermal pad on here. I did not get a mani-pedi today. You're welcome, everybody. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's your home, yeah. God, I should have gotten a mani.
A little bit more seductively.
Not possible. Yeah, graceful as fuck, Jay. Here's where Jay cuts his finger open. You put a little blood in there. So, you know, what I was kind of looking forward to with this build is having more of a showpiece. My current one is more of a workhorse. It's not ready for prime time, so to speak. But with that kind of comes a concern of the hardline rigid tubing. It's a look I've always liked. I've never personally done a hardline tube build before. I've done plenty of standard, you know, soft tube, liquid cooled builds. And, you know, what makes me a little bit nervous is just the rigidity of it, no pun intended. But, you know, if I need to swap out hardware, exchange something, I'm gonna have to drain the whole system. There's no bending a tube out of a way to get to it. Thermal paste is on. Now
I don't know.
Jay. Oh man.
What did you do? What did you, how did you do
I hate my life.
It was so perfect until it wasn't. How did you do
Editing.
There you go. So you can pick it up, flip it over by that, like hold it.
Yeah.
It's a flop.
Bam, hits the ground. This whole setup right now weighs so much.
We didn't actually bench test any of this stuff, so we're banking that it's all good out of the box.
We believe in our hardware partners. Does this part come off separate from this part? Jay. Focus, Jay.
Come on.
So day one, all we get is motherboard block installed.
So we now have the RGB monoblock on as well as the CPU installed.
Put the cover back on because we don't need it.
And now we'll be reinstalling some more cosmetic enhancements. Anti-peel porn, forget it. Oh, look, I ripped that one in half too.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
gonna be more to even trigger people.
Yeah.
More even trigger.
Yeah, and that's it. They'll trigger more even the bestest of them all worser.
It's like when you're trying to do some fine motor movements and you have like 16 coffees in you.
Okay, so now.
Now you gotta go through removing 52,000 screws to convert this.
Yes. It's okay, Johnny NASCAR. You know, all those screws are different.
Yeah, we did it. So for this build, we're actually using a 360 slim rad for the top and a 240 thick rad for the front. Wanted to be sure that there was going to be we just want to make sure we weren't going to have any interference with two 360s. You could make it work, but we didn't actually need to do that. So we have a thicker rad.
You know, Jay thinks he's all that, but honestly, he's been at this for about an hour and a half, so.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Really? Let me get the front ready, because then we can see.
I was just trying to think of like which way I want to orient the fans on here.
True, because you have to have the cable coming off, huh?
No.
Not gonna clear?
The dim dot 2.
The dim dot too. Well, then we'll leave that out and I can put it back under the shield down there. Because the thing is, that's taller than most RAM by like a little bit, right?
Yeah, it is. It's, well, yeah.
Because I mean, obviously
It's pretty tall.
the dim dot 2 is like slightly too tall. And obviously, if you guys have seen like the G.Skill Trident Z before, they're very tall and very sharp RAM sticks.
We wanted to mount it to the dim dot 2 because we thought it'd be easier to access if he ever needed to change it for some reason. But then we realized even if we got it to mount like on the dim dot 2 and clear the radiator, that it would still been a really big pain in the ass to get out because of where the power cables are and where the 24 pin and all that is. So we're just going with this.
So in all honesty, when you see like a lot of builds like this where they go a little bit over the top or whatever, what you're seeing is like the price you pay for that. A lot of this stuff is not the most user friendly. You know, like obviously like Skunkworks, you have a little bit more room because it's such a physically large case.
The size of it, yeah.
But it's like, okay, if you had to get into that one back there, tear something out, it's like most times you're looking at drain your system and then start undoing the liquid cooling stuff you did before.
Gary, are you having problems?
Yeah, it's one of those days. On Monday.
Got it. We're gonna come in on this side, because the thing with parallels, you have two tubes that go in between them, so it divides the flow between each card evenly, but then the outlet has to be on the opposite side. And what I'm looking at right here, that kind of sucks, is that it doesn't line up like straight with either of these. So we're gonna have like a
Cockeyed bend.
cockeye. You said cockeye?
Cockeyed.
Yeah.
You know, while we're going through the build, you kind of have in your mind's eye what it's going to look like. And once you get everything assembled and you're getting ready to do the tubing, you start realizing a few millimeters here versus a few millimeters there, how much of a difference that can make and how much more difficult it becomes to get the tubing bends done or to route the cables in that particular area. And I know a few times I was like, I just want to be done with this part. I just want this bend to work out perfectly so we can move on to the next thing. It feels like it was kind of a little bit of an anchor holding you back. But once you get past it, I mean, you're just excited for the next step.
Now we need to mount the reservoir.
Okay, and then that just what screws into the fan, the bracket here.
Yeah.
You know, it's the sleeving on these things.
I have a promo code for those. I thought he said it was sleeved. Well, so this is a manual pump, right? There's no PWM. This blue wire right here is just a RPM circuit. So this tells the motherboard, hey, it's spinning like a fan.
Yeah.
I never use these, so you can leave it on if you want, and we can sleeve it. But I recommend snip the blue wire under here, get rid of it.
Cut the blue, it won't explode.
That's the red wire.
Ooh, okay. That's the yellow one. I'll hold this part, that's being helpful.
Yay, thank you, sir. Actually, is helpful.
That'd be a hell of a high heat gun. Glasses.
It's gonna be a satisfying click. Are you ready? Okay, well, there was no click, but it was satisfying.
You kind of oversold that, Jay.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Jinx. Do a tester fitter. So the two like trouble areas is going to be obviously getting from here to here, from there to the rad, and then from here to here. That's probably we're going to stop here, at least for this part of this video. It's going to be a one part video, don't worry. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you do it. You can figure out the loop all on your own now.
Okay, yeah. I'll be
your spirit animal.
My little bunny. He's going to hop around. I got you.
The little bunny. Look at this little bunny.
Transition.
Okay, day 2, obviously the part you guys are here for. Josh is going to be doing his first rigid tube bended thingy in his computer.
I'm going to try. Working with Jay. You know, I'm sure a lot of people really look forward to that and think that'd be a dream gig. Honestly, Jay's really good to work with. He's good at coaching you on kind of like what he does, why he does it. It's not so much of a you have to do it this way. It's more like, hey, in my experience, I've learned this. This seems to shortcut this or make things easier, and I suggest you go that route. And, you know, I learned a lot by watching him. Obviously, he has a comfort level with this stuff that kind of gives you more of a sense of calm when you're diving into a project like this, you know, as opposed to trying to do something like this at home for the first time. You know, props to the people that feel like they can do that. I would be too busy freaking out about messing up tubing.
But I decided that there was one change we should do, honestly. We weren't sure how much room we were going to have with two 360s. I mean, obviously, we knew the case supported it.
Yeah.
But after looking at it and thinking that the 240 felt a little empty in the front, and I was worried about airflow because we had 3 exhaust fans on top and then 140 in the back. So we decided to take another EK Coolstream SE, which is the Slim Edition. It's the exact same one we had on top. I just happened to have one here in studio. So we are going to have balanced airflow now. We're going to take the 140 out of the back of the case. We're going to have a 360 in the front, 360 on the top, and nice balanced airflow. Same exact rad, same fans. So, I mean, the airflow is going to be the same between the two. The other thing we did is obviously the tiny little reservoir tube that comes with the EK pump top reservoir combo was not big enough. So we swapped it for a 250 millimeter reservoir. And you can see now we've got this nice big chunk of cooling here. All right, so we got some things to do now. We are going to get everything back in and start planning our loop because that's always the most complicated part. So that would work. So if you want it to bend here, you need to heat up a little bit farther back because it's going to curve. So that's a mistake people make is they heat where they want the bend to be, and then when it bends, the radius is tighter, and then it doesn't line up.
They heat where they think the middle of their bend is going to be.
See, it's already starting to bend because it's so thin. Yeah. So now lift it off the heat a little higher, and then just kind of keep rotating it around. Try to bend to 90 slowly. Okay, you're almost there. Good now. So now put it down on the table, and then flip it over the other way so you can put the straight edge on here. And then, yeah, blowing it to sort of cool off. You can keep it there for a little while. Okay, so that one needs to be shortened up a little bit.
Snap.
Almost there.
So, you know, now that the system is done, obviously there's that sense of nervousness when you first hit the power button. I think everybody gets that no matter how expensive or big or grand your build is. Like, oh gosh, will it boot? And once you hit that, you know, you have a few more blocks of like, okay, is everything gonna load rise? You're gonna recognize all the hardware.
So you ready for this?
Yeah, we should do it. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Well, there's that. Boom. Obviously, we have the RGB reservoir in there as well. RGB RAM, RGB motherboard. There are RGB blocks on the graphics cards as well. First boot usually takes a while, but it's a lot of micro bubbles in there that still have to work their way out. However,
you know what might take even longer, Jay? Is for me to ship this thing home. Oh, the monitor's doing stuff.
Oh my God, thank God.
Well, okay. And now we're done. Peace out. Video over. We are just done. We're good.
So anyway, guys, I want to thank Josh for allowing me to kind of help him with his build here. I basically did most of the bends only because this turned out to be a somewhat complicated-ish type of build. In terms of the bending, there was a couple of double 90s that can be quite a pain in the ass, but we use fittings everywhere applicable just to make it simpler. Plus, EK sent over a lot of fittings for us to use, and that made things easier. So what we got to do now, obviously, is get an OS installed. All this will be off camera. We need to get an OS installed, and he's got to get his ASUS Aura going so that we can stop this RGB puke madness.
The rainbow puke. While it's quite majestic, you know, I'd still like to tone it down a bit.
Any final words?
Honestly, it's, you know, I think one of those things, like any project, you're just happy to have it done just because you get to use it, you know, and more than that, big thank you to the sponsors that helped me out, you know, basically everybody that's in there. We got ASUS kicked in, EVGA's got the pixel pushing power going there, HyperX with the SSDs in the back. You know, we've got Toshiba kicked in, the 1 terabyte NVMe.
Right.
You know, because honestly, one of the things I was most excited about for this build, believe it or not, is storage. Because, you know, it's like I don't create a ton of content like Jay does, but the stuff that we do internally when you work on a marketing team and you have multiple raw files of stuff and TIFF images and things like that and corporate backups, it's like it just gets huge. So to be able to have a lot of storage and fast storage is big. You know, InSource cranked out the cables really quick. PrimoChill was awesome at getting fluid samples to both Anna for the color matching and also to Jay. And you know, everybody stepped up, so I'm pleased. I'm really happy with it.
If I had like takeaways from this build, you know, obviously a large part of it's planning. You always want to have extras of everything, you know, because you have in your mind's eye how this is going to work out. Oh, a 90-degree bend here, this fitting over here, and then you get into it and you realize, oh, a few millimeters off. Okay, now to adjust that, we can do this incredibly complicated bend, or if I just had another, you know, extender, it would just fit easy. So, you know, in my mind, going into something like this again, I'd order multiples of what I need. You know, get a few extra fittings, you know, get more tubing just so you're not putting yourself up against the wall. You know, you have some breathing room if you do a bend wrong, if a tube breaks or something like that. But, you know, now that it's done, I mean, it's kind of crazy to look at and realize that it's mine, that it's my system. You know, it's one of those things where it's got all the RGB, but I'm not gonna have it run color spectrum. I get to make it mine. I get to make it, you know, an all purple build if that's the accent color I want, or I can mix it up. And for me, you know, it's a little bit crazy to look at it from the solid side and see how, you know, sleek and minimalist it is. It looks like any other system. And then you turn around to the TG side and it's like, oh, holy crap. You know, it's kind of like a complete sleeper from one side, on the other side, you know, pure performance. So I love the way it turned out. You know, it's always a mixed bag when you're dealing with Jay, because there's alpha male Jay, and, you know, he talks about his cars and how awesome he is and how he shit his pants on the way home from school. Hello, Jay. So I'm Josh with Fractal Design, Vice President of Marketing. Let me start over. So I'm Josh with Fractal Design, the Vice President of Marketing for North America. No, let me start. Hey, it's weird looking at you. No. So,